Makueni County ranks among the counties that are most vulnerable to climate change, with recent reports indicating that 75% of farmers have reported experiencing climate change in form of reduced yields and 95% in form of frequent and prolonged drought. To mitigate this, a farmer in this region is practicing a unique type of farming that seeks to make farming in the area sustainable. He practices permaculture. It's an approach of land management and settlement design that adopts arrangement observed in flourishing natural ecosystems. It includes a set of design principles derived using whole systems thinking. Some examples of implementing permaculture into society includes regulating agriculture, how water and energy are sourced, environmentally friendly building plans, mitigating deforestation, managing or reusing waste, promoting quality for animal life, and doing whatever possible to improve both the economic and social state of a community. Ultimately, permaculture strives to maintain various systems across the sector in an eco-friendly manner, while also pertaining to the diversity and stability of ecosystems. And now, buckle up, we are going to Makueni County.
Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Kilimo na Biashara show. We are in Makueni County and we are here to learn about permaculture. And what is permaculture really? This, in a layman's language, is the growth of agricultural ecosystem in a sustainable way, the correlation between mankind and environment in a sustainable way. But to learn more about this, let's get it from the experts, right? Let's go. Nicholas.
Yes, Linda.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome to DNRC.
Thank you so much, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you also.
I had you training permaculture here. Tell us about that.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you for coming. DNRC is an NGO, and it's an abbreviation for Drylands Natural Resources Center. It's an organization which deals with drylands resource management, where you are is our main office, and DNRC is known for dryland resource management. And one of the things we approach dryland resource management is through permaculture.
From an expert perspective, now introduce us. Tell our viewers, what is permaculture?
Permaculture, in a nutshell, is the art and science of developing sustainable systems for human settlement. And it works with the ethics and also principles. And for you to be in a permaculture site, we call it a design course. So we have designed this farm into zones. Permaculture entails 5 zones. We have zone 0, where we are now. This is where zone 0 is where people are. Because permaculture assumes human beings are the ones who destroy things. But then it looks at ways on where you can have people, but the system is sustainable, and we have planned these places. We go around, you'll see like now in zone 0, you design where people are, and this is our zone 0, the office, because there are many people there. We have the cafeteria and the training hall and the kitchen, that is also on zone 0. We have the toilet, and our case is eco-toilet, where there is no waste. We recycle human waste.
So when you say you recycle human waste, how does this happen?
One of the principles of permaculture is produce no waste. Excuse. And we treat human waste as a waste, but in actual sense it's a resource. So we build a toilet with 2 holes, and it's about 1 meter by 1 meter. So when people go use the toilet, they add ash and sawdust. Urine is rich in nitrogen. Ash is also for smell, and also sawdust is good for carbon. So once you balance that, they will use, then when you close within 2 months, everything decomposes, and you can use that to plant.
So you use this compost for even edible foods?
I never knew human waste is also a very good compost. But because of taboo, we only use human waste to grow trees, to grow our bananas, to grow grass for the animals, and the things which we don't eat direct, like vegetables. But actually, there's no, it's a matter of taboo more than the science, because if a cabbage will pick nitrogen, which is human manure, it's the same as in fertilizer and all that.
So what else is also in Zone 0?
The design itself, you want to create a system which is efficient. You can have more than one zone. The zone is to have efficient system. For example, if you are in Zone 0 where people are, like if you want onions, they should be next to Zone 0 because you reduce the movement. But if you put it very far and you want to cook something, onion, you forgot, coriander or something else, you go, you forget another. That movement itself is not efficient. So we put in zones to make an efficient system where humans are settled.
You mentioned about cafeteria being in Zone 0, and I'm just looking at the outlook, how it looks. Tell us about that. Is it part of the reason why it's in Zone 0 aside from people being there?
Permaculture talks of using local materials, and a good permaculture site actually uses the local indigenous knowledge. So for us now to utilize that principle of use of local knowledge, we build our house, our cafeteria using mud, the way Wakamba used to build. That's why you see it is mud. That's not cement. It's only straw and mud. Some people call it cob building, but as we call Kamba building. Then we thatch with reeds. If you talk of permaculture and it's not you rely on outside materials, we cannot say you are sustainable, you are efficient.
And we are done with Zone 0. Now let's go to Zone 1.
Okay.
So we just go to Zone 1,
Yes.
which
like,
has all the food stuff, or what?
yes.
Nicholas, so this is Zone 1. So tell us what happens in Zone 1, what is in Zone 1 basically?
Zone 1, like I said, in permaculture, you use zones to design a farm. So Zone 1 is where we keep things which are frequently used. They need more care, they need security, they need to be accessed quickly. So now in this Zone 1 is where we have put tree seedlings, because it's they always need to be taken care of frequently. That's why we have them in Zone 1. And also in Zone 1 is where we have kitchen garden. It's where you keep all the things like now the chickens, because you need to collect eggs every other 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So for you to be efficient, you place things which need high maintenance, security, and also you visit frequently in Zone 1.
Yeah.
So now we talked on Zone 0, now this is Zone 1. And what you see in Zone 1 is all what you need to place because you visit frequently.
Yeah.
Kitchen garden, tree nursery, chickens, anything else you feel you need to be visiting. You place things which for sure they need care.
Yeah.
So every morning you wake up, you see, do they really need care?
Yeah.
So they should be nearer where you are. That's why it's Zone 1.
And now also tell us about the correlation between the chicken and the kitchen, because they are also in close proximity.
We talk of output and the input.
Yeah.
Like the kitchen, one of the input, they are eggs. So you want to keep chickens near where what you need is next. But the output of the kitchen, one is the waste. The vegetables you cut, what is remaining, the chicken need that, so you can easily throw. If it was like a par fat, then that will bring inefficiency. So they need to be next to each other.
So from zone 1, we go to zone 2.
We go now to zone 2.
Okay, let's go.
Linda, by the way, this is our fish pond. Is in zone 1 because the fish needs care, so it's next to the people. This is where we make green charcoal. We call it green charcoal. It is zone 0.
Maca.
Yes, maca.
And now in zone 2, Nicholas, what happens? What are some of the important things that are in this particular zone?
Thank you, Linda. We have talked in zone 0, zone 1. Now we're in zone 2. Zone 2, we call it food forest. You could also call it edible forest. And I call it shamba ya shushu because it has everything. We use 7 layers to make it efficient, just the way nature works. If you go to a nature, you'll find there are 7 layers. There's a climax, there's understory, there are shrubs, there are herbs, there are tubers, and also there are climbers. And all those layers is what we are mimicking. So what you are seeing here, you can even tell there are very tall layers, short ones. Even like this is now is cassava, it's tubers, putty, food, and so this is our edible forest or food forest.
Well, I like the fact that you've mentioned it's a food forest. Shamba ya shushu, quite literally. And this is zone 3. What happens in zone 3? Let's talk to Nicholas to tell us more about this. Nicholas, so what happens in zone 3?
We have talked to zone 0, zone 1, zone 2, and now we're in zone 3. Zone 3 is where you plant your main crop. We call it your main farm, like our case now here. Our main crop, which we normally use as beans, cowpeas, pigeon peas, and also maize. So this is where we grow that main crop, which feeds part of the DNRC staff.
And it's so cool here. It's very cool.
Yes, now we are getting to zone 4. And even behind us is zone 5, which we'll talk.
This is zone 5.
Yes, and this is zone 4. You see, it is there are a lot of timber trees.
So zone 4 is basically for timber trees. And
yes,
what
yes.
else?
Mostly we plant trees which are good for timber, like Camellia, eucalyptus. We also do Terminarium brownie and all that.
And aside from these trees, the tall trees, I can see you have also other crops right beneath them.
We are establishing zone 4. So by the time the trees are growing to have a close canopy such that nothing which can grow underneath. We also utilize the land by growing beans, which are nitrogen fixing, and other crops which can also do well with the trees.
So in the germination process, do they grow naturally or you have to plant them? And also, I see there's a lot of spacing.
There are 2 ways to plant trees. If you plant them very close, by the time they are growing to a certain level where you want to use, they grow straight because they are competing for light. And then we do something called selective thinning. You come in and find this is very good for timber, so you leave it. This one not good, you thin. So you are slowly spacing, but what you thin is also useful. So planting closer is better utilization of the land.
So do you have to put manure or any compost?
For you to fertilize your soils, the leaves are doing that. They are falling and utilizing, but at the same time we also add this organic matter in the trenches so that you imbue the soils. We say healthy soil also produces healthy plants.
And since earlier on you mentioned that you use compost on trees, the human compost, the human waste, yeah? Is it what you use here?
I find the human waste is, human manure has a lot of nutrients. We use it to plant trees because we can grow vegetables because of the notion that it's a bad thing, but actually there's nothing bad about it. It's only how we are socialized.
So with all this success, I'm just curious, where did you begin? Which year did you begin this? Because I see there's a lot of growth.
Because I come from the area, first thing is I already know what they felt need. So it was easy for the farmers to pick what I feel is their need, and that way there is very high reception. At the same time, permaculture is interesting. I said it's indigenous knowledge plus modern science. So most of the things we are doing, they relate easily because of their traditional background, and that way they are in better reception. The only thing to note at this point is it's nice when you solve a felt need. Like for us, firewood was a big one. So starting with the trees was easier because they wanted firewood. So from that we imbued many other elements like you have seen, and a lot also to talk. And also we continue training permaculture. I never said we ran 3 courses, one in March, another one in June, which is coming, and another one in September. We are registered by NITA, and we teach. It's a 2-week course in permaculture. We not only change the local farmers, we also teach other people who don't come from this region.
This is surely an impactful project. Tell us how this has reflected on the community.
We have not done in-depth survey on the impacts, but you can tell. Like now where we are, for sure, you feel there is a lot of good microclimate. So in terms of climate, we have planted so many trees. In terms of climate change, we have solved that. Then we also do the social. The farmers come together. They know each other, they study together. So the social fabric, they gossip, they sing, they do all this. So they know each other better. So the community is strengthened. And then in terms of economics, now we are doing the moringa seeds. We hope what they are planting will also kick in terms of economy. Because when you talk of sustainability, it's where you balance the economic, social, and the environment. And that's what we are trying to balance.
Zone 5. What happens in this last zone?
Zone 5 is the last zone in permaculture farm design, and it is where you let nature showcase itself. You leave a place where you don't interfere with anything, so you let nature regenerate, and it is where you go learn, because we said permaculture is mimicking nature, and actually your neighbors can clear everything. So you leave a place where you can be going in to see how nature is showcasing itself. So you copy that to your farm. It is also a place where you go for meditation. We say that permaculture farm should be self-sustaining, self-regulating. So even when you're in a permaculture farm, like what I said, I make fun of now on Zone 5 is where you go to pray. I'm thinking people will also want a place where they can go in, meditate. If you do yoga, you go and do yoga there. So it's a place of also meditation. And the most important part is also where you keep your bees. Like in our Zone 5, we have kept a lot of bees. We are using the traditional beehives.
I can see them right behind you.
Yes. Those ones we use because also permaculture borrows a lot from indigenous knowledge. Actually, as I teach it, I always feel it's the African way of farming systems. It has a lot of indigenous knowledge on it. Then you add a bit of modern science. That's how permaculture. And the guy who wrote it, Bill Mollison, who kind of documented all that. So there's a lot of indigenous. We are trying to do that.
So it's basically a forest that has not been tilled, like zero tillage.
Nature utilizes space. So if you want to be as efficient as how nature is, because nature doesn't produce waste, it utilizes the land very well. One is stacking. Like what you see now in Zone 5 is stacked. So many things being planted there, And that's how nature does. So you want to copy that to your main farm. So stuck is how nature behaves. Because you let things grow by themselves and nature balances. Because one characteristic of nature is stuck. You utilize the land both below and above with several layers. And that's what we copy. And that's zone 5. Anywhere you leave a place and you are not interfering with, it will automatically regenerate to how it looked before we interfered. We are the problem. Sometimes I ask, what if we were taken out of the earth and suspended for 200 years somewhere? Then when we come back, we'll find everything else has gone back to normal, just like in zone 5.
You also mentioned about the medicinal bits of having this forest.
Yes, these days there's a lot of research now being done on, they call it forest bath or environmental medicine, because in a very diverse zone 5 with so many species of trees and also so much, what happens now, each is try to defend themselves and they produce chemicals. When you breathe in those chemicals, actually you strengthen your immunity. So now these days people are also advised to be going to a natural forest to heal faster. People are finding a lot of research being done now, finding a natural environment, your immunity is stronger, you heal faster if you are sick and all that. So it's nice to always be going to zone 5. And if you have it in your site, actually you get those benefits. Because permaculture, you create a decent life.
Nicholas, you're doing an amazing job in this particular project, but I would like to know what are some of the challenges that you've experienced so far, because starting from 2007 to 2024, that's quite a long time.
This permaculture, the biggest challenge is because it's not known. It's not mainstreamed. So even when you are talking about it, it's successful, but not many people know about it. It is not in there are no policies regulating that to say it needs to be promoted. And now you guys, I think you are trying to market it and something to be known. The other is also, you have to be patient with the project, because permaculture is a slow process. You need to plant trees, see them grow, you need to bring people, so beauty that. But people want quick fix on many things. But this is long time. That's why I said, even come here, work with the community, I knew it's where you live, and it's a long time. And that slow phase, but it pays eventually, I think it's a challenge. Because some people ask me, tell me exactly how a mature permaculture will be, how much will it generate, how much does I tell them, no, I don't know. We try things, nature, you learn as you try. So that's another challenge, because people want
quick fix.
Yes, quick fix and answers. But in permaculture, we try, we learn, we change all that.
And what's your vision, Nicholas? Say 5 years, say 10 years from now.
The vision we have, the running vision for DNRC is sustainable and resilient communities in the drylands. We want to showcase that in drylands can actually be sustainable, whether in Makueni or other, because those are where many problems are. So I felt if we can slowly start solve issues in the drylands and showcase it can work, that way we'll have played our part, and eventually to see the whole of Kenya, which is 86% dryland, be something like this. Even if not our time, but it's a journey, we want to be part of it.
So there should not be any excuse.
One thing I know, as long as you mean well, your agenda is right, things will just eventually succeed. Many people will pick it up, take it and to their community, and that way they succeed.
Yeah. Nicholas, thank you so much for allowing us to come to your farm today.
Welcome.
And we totally love your job.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome again. Thank you also.
Asante.
Okay.
And thank you for being part of the show today. How does your paper look like? Because earlier on, remember I told you have to get your pen and paper. And you've seen zone 0, 1, 2, 3, and this 5. That is not illegal. Basically a forest. You can meditate. It's environmental medicine. So thank you so much for being part of this show. My name is Linda Koskei. See you again next Sunday for yet another amazing show. See you then.